Hi there, my name is Stephanie and today I'm going to teach you how to make a purse organizer. So this is a great handy little project. It has a bunch of little pockets in the front as well as a larger pocket in the back for all your small items in your purse. These pockets are all customizable to size depending on your needs. And then there's a larger zippered pocket in the front main bag as well. So this is great to take from one purse to the next purse, and all your sort of accessories and supplies come with you. What you're going to need to do this project is 0.3 meters of your main fabric, so your front and your back of your bag. You will need 0.3 meters of a lining fabric to line the inside, and then 0.2 meters for your front pocket. I've used mesh. You could use, though, there is enough in the 0.3 to use your top main bag fabric as well down here. And lastly, you'll need 0.3 meters of your sort of middle pocket, and you get that middle pocket on the back as well. Lastly, you'll want to have some kind of stabilizer. So I've used fusible fleece. If you don't have that hanging around, using up some old denim jeans, interfacing obviously is great as well. Anything with a little more structure to it, you don't see it. We're looking at, again, the 0.3 meters to cut the squares out of, just so that your bag has a little bit more structure and isn't as flimsy. So you can get creative with what you use around your house for that. And a 10-inch zipper. So I've used a metal zip for this one. If you have a longer zipper hanging around as well, in this video I teach you how to shorten your zipper to fit the bag too. So if you print the free PDF pattern below this video, check your size for accuracy and we'll get started. Your first step is to make sure you've cut out all your pieces for your purse organizer. I'm going to teach you the optional way to use binding on your pockets. Again, if you do not want to tackle binding, that is okay. I will also show you how you can just fold your pocket piece in half and have a nice folded edge as your top. We're going to start with our pocket first. So you're going to take your pocket piece and you're going to bring it to your iron and you're just going to fold it in half so that your 11.5 is your width and your 12 is folded in half down, so you get actually a 6 by 11.5, and you're going to give it a nice press so you have a creased edge. This is a great way to finish off a pocket without having to bind your edge with the bias tape. To finish your pocket edges with a bit of a contrast bias tape, you're going to take your little 2-inch piece. So this is 2 inches by 11.5 inches, and you're going to simply fold it wrong sides together and crease right down the middle. So just lining up your raw edges so it is exactly in half, and give it a nice press. And then you're going to do the same by now opening it up. You see your crease line down the middle, and you're going to bring your little raw edges to the middle on both sides. So I'm going to do this side really quickly and crease this edge. And then I'm going to bring in my other little edge at the top. And so basically they should meet in the middle where that crease was. And you're going to press that as well. Once that's all done, you're going to fold it one more time back to the original crease that we had. So it ends up being a 1/2 inch wide, so a quarter of the size that it was originally, and so it'll be folded, so you have double folds there and a nice folded top edge there. I would give it one more press just so that those creases stay nice and sharp. It makes it easier when sewing the bias tape onto your bag. So that's how to create your own little bias tape strip. If you are not using the binding strips to finish the top edge of your pocket, you're going to take your nice folded side that we've just pressed, and you're going to top stitch the top edge just along the 2/8 line or 1/4 inch. So between your 1/8 and your 3/8 there's a little ticky. That's your 1/4 inch line. We also have the inside paddle of sort of your clear foot, if you use your embroidery foot as well, so that you can do a nice little top stitch down. It will just hold your pocket laying flat and kind of finish it off as a nice trimmed edge as well. So go ahead and follow your 1/4 inch line around both pockets along only the folded edge. If you are adding the binding to the top of your pocket edge as a nice contrast, you want to take your folded piece, and the way I like to teach it is that if this was your bad side of your pocket and the other side would be your good side, you would start attaching your binding to your bad side. Now with our pocket, we folded it in half so that it's lined and it'll look nice on the inside. But if you were adding binding, you always would attach your binding to the bad side of your fabric. And I like to use these Wonder clips instead of pins. They're a little handier to use going through multiple layers. And you're just going to clip it all the way along the top edge and opening up your bias tape just one side like this. We are going to sew it right in our pressed little groove. So we're going to attach it all the way along, just following that crease all the way to the other side. After you're sewing along that crease, your bias tape will lift up and then come nicely over to the good side. So now you can clip it, and you just want to make sure it's covering your stitching on the other side. So when you bring it up and over, you're going to just cover that lovely stitching and give it a clip again. I like to do it this way because if you just simply sandwich your bias tape over your edge and try to sew it all at once, lots of times it doesn't catch the back side. It becomes really frustrating. Your bias tape looks wavy because it's come off your edge at certain spots. So this way, it's a two-step process, but it holds it on the back. So now all you have to concentrate on is keeping that top stitch really nice and straight, close to that folded edge the whole way down. And it doesn't matter what's happening on the back side because that's been sewn, so that's not moving on you. And you get a really nice straight finish to your bias tape. So there is our completed sewn trim piece to the pocket edge. You're going to go and repeat this 2 more times, one to your lower pocket edge and one to your other piece, just like this for your back of your purse organizer. You should now have 3 separate pockets: your front pocket, your back pocket, and then your front smaller pocket, because on the front there's sort of a tiered pocket look. If you did not do the bias binding, then you should have top stitched your fold on each of the 3 pocket pieces. We're now going to attach our fusible fleece to the main bag piece. So you should cut a fusible fleece at the same size as your main bag. You're going to flip your bag piece bad side up, and then you're going to take the fusible side so it feels just a little rougher on one side. It probably won't show my video, and put that down because that is the glue of the fusible fleece. And you're going to line it up, and then I actually like to press it with the good side up because it's thinner and the heat goes through the cotton easier than going through the fleece. And I'm just going to start in the middle, hold my iron down for about 20 seconds at a time. And then I'm going to lift up and move it to a new spot until my fusible fleece has been attached to your main bag. Just like this. It gives your bag more weight and structure so that it has a better support. I'm now going to take one of my main bags, put it right side up, and place one of my finished pocket pieces right on top, lining up my bottom corners. And then I'm just going to put a little clip on both sides of this one just to hold it in place, because we're going to stack our other little pocket on top. I've used mesh, but again, you could use just another piece of cotton. And we're going to line up, same thing, our bottom corners here, and have this nice and faced up. And we're going to clip it all in place. And you just want to make sure that your border looks even. If your corners on this one had to be pulled down like this, I would fudge it out. We will catch this in seam allowance when we sew our bag together. So if it wasn't perfectly aligned for whatever reason, I would make sure that this looks nice and straight, so that when your bag is complete, it looks like everything lined up nicely. So go ahead and pin all the way around or clip. I highly recommend you invest in these little wonder clips if you don't have some. They are handy for projects like this. You're going to want to make also a nice chalked line about 5 inches away from the right side of your bag, but this is preference. For whatever you're going to use your purse organizer for, you could even make it 3 even pockets, so drawing 2 lines here, having a really small one and a really big one. This is completely your preference on how you're going to use your purse organizer. So this is the way we're going to sew our pockets on. So I'm going to sew right on my yellow line, back stitching at the top to reinforce the opening of the pockets all the way down. And then I'm also going to just follow the 10 or even the 1/4 inch line all the way around the 3 sides to hold them so they won't move. That seam won't be shown because if we sew at the 10 line, that's the 3/8 line, or the 1/4 inch line, that is still smaller than our 1/2 inch seam allowance when we sew our sides, so it won't be seen. So I've finished attaching the pocket piece to my front of my bag. I'm going to do the same. We have one more little pocket piece here. I'm going to attach it to the back of my bag in the same way, lining up my bottoms. This one only has the one pocket though, and I'm going to keep this one just one big sort of sleeved pocket. Again, if you wanted to draw some chalk lines and make them 3 separate pockets, or just down the middle for 2 pockets, you could do that to personalize it. I'm just going to keep it as one bigger sort of sleeved back edge. So I'm going to sew just down my 3 sides to hold my pocket in place, following my 1/4 inch line. If you have a 10-inch zipper, awesome. I had a 12-inch zipper lying around, and I wanted to show you how you can shorten a zipper. So I have measured 10 inches from the end up, and I've made myself a little chalk mark. And then I've left a seam allowance, so a generous 5/8 of an inch above my marking, and I've cut it off so that I don't have to pluck out so many teeth. And then you're just going to get yourself a pair of pliers, and all you're going to do is you're going to grab the ends of your zipper teeth and pull them off. So there's the little piece there, and you're going to take them off until you're marking. And the same thing down this side. So you'll have no teeth for 5/8 above, making sure you're not going to zip up your zipper because your pull will fall off. We will replace a zipper stop right at that marking so that our zipper pull can't pull off. So if you are like me and have a longer zipper, go ahead and prep your zipper and shorten it. To make a new zipper stop, if you don't have the metal C sort of stops that you can clamp back on, you can make it with your machine on a zigzag stitch. So I have it on a number 7, which is my standard zigzag. I have it at a stitch width of about 4, and then I've turned my stitch length right down as far as it goes to a 0.2 so it doesn't move. And then I just have right above my zipper, making sure I'm not actually stitching on the metal teeth or I'll break my needle. I am going to just put my zipper underneath my foot, and if I just do a little zigzag, all it's doing is sort of zigzagging a thread stop above my zipper. So you do that about, I don't know, 10 or 15 times. If you lift it up, then you'll see that it is replaced with a thread stop. You could do it by hand as well. Once your zipper is all prepped, you are going to make sure that your zipper's even on both sides. So we have a 10-inch zipper. This was cut to be 11.5 long. Therefore, we have 1.5 inches of extra. So you want to make sure that that 3/4 of an inch sticks out evenly on both sides, so I'm just doing a little check here. So 3/4 of an inch is 2 centimeters. And again, I'm going to use my clips, and I'm going to clip my zipper just so the zipper tape is lined up with the top edge of my bag. And I have my zipper obviously face down against the good side so that when it sews, it'll flip up like that. Okay, so flipping your zipper down against your good side and making sure that you have 3/4 of an inch or 2 centimeters available on both sides so that we can sew our sides of our bag together and it doesn't sew over your zipper teeth. We are now ready to sew our zipper. So if you were adding your zipper stop, make sure you're back to a straight stitch, not on a zigzag. We need a zipper foot, so your machine should come with some sort of a zipper foot. To switch it off, you're simply pressing your lever or your little button at the back to release your old foot. And we are going to put our zipper foot hanging more to the right, so I'm clicking it on the left part of that bar, so that when I sew my zipper like this, my foot is out of the way of my teeth. I'm going to put this in following the edge of my paddle. I'll try to get in a little closer there. My edge of my paddle is going to run the edge of my black zipper tape all the way down. And so when you sew, you want to make sure sort of your end is sort of filtered out. So you can kind of turn that in at a 45. It just makes it a nicer finished edge when you're sewing it to the bag so it doesn't have a chance to poke out. So I'm going to tuck my little edge in like that. And I'm going to start sewing just following the 10 line all the way down. And I want to teach you a trick as well on how to stay out of the way of your zipper pull when you get to it. So I have it sort of slid down. And so I'm just gonna get it going. There we go. And do a little back stitch. If you have a hard time with feeding your fabric through at the start, if you hold your back threads like this, just tight, and then hit your pedal, it kind of helps pull it through if it gets stuck on a little bit of a bulkier spot. So you followed your paddle along the edge of your zipper tape, and we're about to approach this zipper stop or pull. So what I want you to do is you approach it, and then you're going to go needle down, and then you're going to actually lift your foot up, and there's a height here, but if you actually push up higher on your presser foot lever, you can raise it up a little higher. You have to hold it to be able to do that. So yeah, making sure your needle stays down, you're going to lift up your foot, and at the same time you're going to wiggle your pull past like that, and then drop your foot, make sure your foot goes back down, and now your stitching line won't have a little divot out where you avoided that pull. You can continue the rest of the way down in a nice smooth straight line. So I've attached my zipper to my front of my bag along the top edge there. And now I'm going to attach my lining piece. So the pink side is my good side. And so I'm going to put them right on top of one another. So I'm sandwiching my zipper in between my good side of my bag and my good side of my lining. And I'm going to clip it all the way along the top, and I'm going to follow the exact same thing using my zipper foot. The top of the zipper foot will follow the top edge just like it was doing with the zipper, and I'm going to sew from end to end all the way down. Some people with more experience will do this all in one step. They'll attach their zipper, sandwich it in between the two sides, and sew it once. I find that if you are a little bit of a beginner, that's more chance for things to shuffle. So if we secure our zipper to our outside bag and then just follow that same line again, nothing moves and we get a better result. So you should have your zipper hanging out and was sandwiched in between both sides of your lining and your outside. You're going to go to your ironing board now and flip it so that your lining stays out. So all I am doing is sort of pressing my seam allowance on my zipper tape towards my outside of my bag, keeping that lining piece away for the time being. And we're going to give it a really nice press along this top edge. This will allow for your fabric to stay out of the way of those teeth when you're doing up your bag. And then we're also going to give it a nice edge stitch as well on our sewing machine. So give that top edge a nice press, keeping your lining free and clear. We do not want to catch our lining in our top stitch at this point. So let's head to the machine and let's edge stitch about 1/8 of an inch really close to that top edge all the way across. So we've edge stitched the edge of our zipper again. I did not catch my lining when I top stitched in there. I put it in just like this. So all I have sewn is my seam allowance to my outside bag, nothing on the actual lining piece. Now we're going to repeat this to the other side. So I have my other half of my bag here. Again, I have my good side of my zipper up. So all I'm going to do is flip it face down, and I'm going to make sure that it's 2 centimeters or 3/4 of the inch on both sides. It should be easier because both of these edges should line up. And I'm going to clip my zipper tape right to the top edge, and then go ahead and sew that zipper to this side just like you did to the other half. So our zipper is attached to our other side of our bag. Again, my pink is my lining, my good side. So I'm going to sandwich it in on top again and re-sew that one more time. Sometimes it's easier for you to put in the sewing machine like this so you can see your pass line, so you can just go right on top of that so that this side will get sandwiched in between as well. So we've successfully inserted our zipper on either side with our lining. When I open up my zipper, I should have my 2 linings sandwiched on either side, so no raw edge of my zipper now is showing. So we've already edge stitched one side. So again, what we're going to do to the one that hasn't been edge stitched is open it up so my lining is above it and that seam allowance is pointed down towards the good side of our bag. And we're going to give it a press and then a nice little edge stitch down this side as well, not catching our lining again. We are just about there. So we are going to sew our sides together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab only my 2 good sides of my bag and I'm going to fold them right sides together. And then I'm going to allow my lining pieces together. So my linings are good side together and my outsides are good sides together. And now I'm going to clip all the way around my 4 edges here. And we're going to sew all the way around at our 4/8, so our 1/2 inch seam allowance, but we need to leave an opening on our lining side. So we leave it along the bottom edge, and about a hand print, about 5 inches is about a good size of an opening. So if I line up my corners along my bottom of my inside lining, I'm going to give myself a chalk mark somewhere in the middle. So somewhere about here, and then a generous handprint to about there. And that's where we are not going to sew. So I'm going to start here with a back stitch, pivot, come all the way along, pivot, and go around. You will still want to use your zipper foot because you might get pushed over at the 2 zipper ends here so that you can snuggle right on past as you sew. So go ahead and pin all 4 sides. And let's get sewing around our bag. When you are pinning your 4 sides, you do want to make sure that your lining and your actual bag really line up at that intersection so that when it actually lays right side out, those edges will match. And ideally as well, you have 2 pocket edges matching. I would make sure that I line those up with a pin as well, so that when I sew, my pockets will line up at the side seam as well. So I still have my zipper foot on my machine. I'm starting at my first yellow mark here. The other yellow mark is behind there, so my hole is happening behind me right now. And then I'm putting it in against the 1/2 inch seam allowance line so that when we stitch all the way around, we won't see our lines that we did when we were securing our pocket in place so it wouldn't move. So we're going to stitch all the way around our bag right now. And when you get to the corners, you're going to pivot. So what that means is you're going to leave your needle in. So I'm going to go needle down, and then I'm going to lift my foot up. I'm going to spin my fabric. If you didn't quite reach the half-inch line, you could go back and take a couple more stitches and then turn it. So I am at my half-inch line. I'm going to spin, put my foot back down, and keep sewing all the way around. So we've sewn all the way around our entire bag, and we've left our opening on the bottom of our lining. We're going to go ahead and clip our corners so they flip nicer. So anytime we pivoted at our 4 corners, we want to trim diagonally across, leaving about 1/8 behind so that you're not actually cutting off your stitching, but getting nice and close. And then I also like to trim one more time, kind of more at the 45 and the 45, just to get any kind of bulk away from my corner so it will sit nicer. So I'll go back to this guy and give it a little bit of a closer sort of clip. And so you're going to do that to your other 2 corners, and then you're going to flip your bag through your opening and pull it all the way out. Once you've flipped your bag right side out, you're going to want to make sure you use sort of a point turner and really get in your outside corners there to turn them right side out. And then we want to sew up that lining opening. So we had that opening in our lining where we just flipped it through. So you are going to just turn under a 1/2 inch and a 1/2 inch, just like this. And you are going to edge stitch right across the bottom. You could use a hand stitch, like a little slip stitch if you'd like. But no one will really see this. So for making it a little more efficient, we're going to just butt up our edges and then just edge stitch the opening shut, and then we can tuck our lining back into our purse organizer. And there you have it. You have your nice little purse organizer that you can just tuck in the middle of your big bag, have lots of room for different pockets to organize all your goodies, and then it's easy to switch out to a different purse for a quick transformation. So I hope you've enjoyed our tutorial today on how to make a purse organizer. Please subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up for more easy to do fun projects. Thank you.